Thank you, Mr. President, and I thank Pakistan for convening today's meeting, and I also thank ASG Chiari for his briefing. Ireland aligns itself, Mr. President, with the statement of the European Union. It is with profound regret that we meet again as this region continues to experience significant instability, with multiple crises playing out, many of which are interrelated and all of which threaten further escalation, further destruction, and further devastating loss of civilian life. I will first turn to the appalling and deteriorating situation in Gaza. Last week, this Council heard from USG Fletcher, who described a soaring humanitarian crisis in Gaza, where food is running out and those who seek it risk being killed, where a shattered health system lacks adequate medical equipment and essential medicines, and where the critical civilian infrastructure, such as water and sanitation systems, are out of reach to those who so desperately need them. Since the beginning of the war, more than 56,000 people are reported killed and over 132,000 injured. We heard the stark illustration by the UNICEF Chief Executive Director Russell last week, who drove home these numbers with the chilling illustration that the equivalent of 28 children, or one entire classroom of children, have lost their lives in Gaza every single day over the past 21 months. Mr. President, we urgently need an end to hostilities. Ireland, in the strongest possible terms, once again condemns the terror attacks by Hamas on Israel on the 7th of October 2023. Ireland, in the strongest possible term, also condemns the unconscionable taking of hostages by Hamas and has repeatedly called for their release. And I repeat that call again today. Ireland urges all parties to support efforts to reach agreement on a new ceasefire and hostage release deal. Humanitarian aid must be allowed into and throughout Gaza at scale. And Ireland calls on Israel, again in the strongest possible terms, to lift immediately the restrictions on the flow of aid and urgently enable the UN and humanitarian NGOs to do the life-saving work safely and effectively in line with humanitarian principles. The IPC Global Hunger Monitor in May reported that the entire population of Gaza is facing high levels of food insecurity, with 500,000 people facing starvation. 2 months have passed without adequate action. The humanitarian situation remains catastrophic. We continue to see mass casualty incidents at distribution centres which are run by private contractors under the new Israeli-approved model of aid delivery. It is horrifying that over 800 Palestinians have been killed while seeking aid. We must be clear. Life-saving aid must never, ever be weaponized. Humanitarian principles must be followed. Hospitals must never be militarized or must never be targeted. Mr. President, Ireland remains extremely concerned about the situation in the West Bank, where Israeli military operations continue. We are seeing unprecedented levels of violence, large-scale displacement of the Palestinian population, and record levels of settlement construction, which is contrary to international law. The scale, speed, and severity of this displacement is unprecedented. We strongly oppose any steps toward territorial or demographic change in the occupied Palestinian territories. Ireland remains convinced that the implementation of the two-state solution is the only way to establish lasting peace and stability and security for both Israel and for Palestine and the wider region. We welcome the reconvening of the high-level conference on the two-state solution in New York next week, which will be co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia. We hope that the conference will be a decisive moment for the international community to express commitment to preserving the two-state solution. Mr. President, Ireland is deeply concerned about the situation in Syria and the disturbing intercommunal violence and killing of civilians in the southwest of the country. We urge all those involved to uphold the ceasefire. The safety and human rights of all Syrians must be upheld, irrespective of their faith or ethnicity. We continue to be concerned about the overall security situation in the region, and it is imperative that the Lebanese armed forces are supported to provide security across Lebanon, including in the south, and UNIFIL will continue to play an important role in this regard. Ireland welcomes reports that Iran will engage with the EU High Representative and the E3 on its nuclear programme, and it is our hope that a negotiated solution can be found to address the legitimate concerns of the international community. Iran can and should contribute to regional security by clearly ceasing its support for non-state armed militant groups in the region. Mr. President, it is clear that the military responses will not bring lasting solutions to any of the conflicts that afflict the region or achieve the peace and security that the peoples of the region crave and deserve. Ireland calls on the international community to come together to do all in its power to bring about a lasting and sustainable peace across the Middle East. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Mr. O'Brien, for your statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Kazim Gharib Abadi, Deputy Foreign Minister for Legal